안녕하십니까, 니콜라스입니다. And today we are going to learn about ChatGPT plugins, what they are, how they work internally, and how we can build our own. Some days ago, OpenAI announced the support for plugins in ChatGPT, which I think is going to be a total game changer for businesses all around the world. Plugins basically give ChatGPT ears and eyes. They give ChatGPT access to data it has not seen before. They allow companies to seamlessly integrate with the ChatGPT interface. And they allow users to use multiple services just by writing a chat prompt. Without plugins, ChatGPT can only answer questions about things it already knows about. With plugins, ChatGPT can now browse the internet, use other sources of information, and even take action on behalf of the user. Here you can see how after installing the plugins, the user asks ChatGPT to find a restaurant, look for a recipe, calculate calories, and order ingredients. Instead of providing an outdated or wrong response, ChatGPT uses OpenTable to find a restaurant and gives the user a link to make a reservation. It uses Wolfram Alpha to calculate the calorie amount of the recipe, and then it uses the Instacart API to put those ingredients in a shopping basket. This, my friends, is a game changer. I don't know if you see it yet, but the implications of this are enormous. This basically means that ChatGPT has an app store now. And if a company wants to stay relevant, they are going to have to make a ChatGPT plugin. Instead of going to the website or downloading the apps of Airbnb, Expedia, TripAdvisor, and Amazon, I will just ask ChatGPT to find me a plane, accommodation, the 5 best restaurants, a tour guide, and to purchase me all the equipment required to go hiking in Nepal. This is huge. Thanks to plugins, ChatGPT stops being just a chatbot that answers questions about the data it has seen before, and instead becomes an interface to interact with services and data sources in the outside world. Plugins make ChatGPT better by preventing hallucinations, which is what happens when ChatGPT gives pretty convincing answers that are completely wrong. This happened to me a couple of times when I was asking it for book recommendations, and it gave me a list of books with names, authors, and summaries of books that were exactly what I was looking for, but that did not exist at all. Using plugins, we as users will also be able to know what is the source of the data that ChatGPT is using for an answer, which will help us on judging if something is true or false. One of the first plugins to be announced is the browser plugin. This plugin allows ChatGPT to search on the internet and browse websites. Here you can see a demo where a user is asking about the box office sales of this year's Oscars movies, which is something that by default ChatGPT does not know about. On the demo, we can see how ChatGPT searches the web, clicks on links, reads them, and then provides an answer with the data it read. 여러분, this is amazing. This really is an important moment. Many things are about to change. Now that ChatGPT has basically an app store, I think we will see an explosion on innovation the same way we saw so many companies be born and build on top of the iPhone and its app store. But this also means that we have to ask ourselves if apps, websites, and custom user interfaces are going to still be relevant in a future where users do everything through ChatGPT, rather than going to our website or downloading our app. Will companies still need to build websites, iOS and Android apps? Or will they just build a simple website and put all the marketing and engineering efforts on building a ChatGPT plugin hosted on what will be the App Store of OpenAI? I think no other group of professionals is working this hard to put themselves out of business like programmers are. And on that spirit, let's now take a look at how you can make your own ChatGPT plugin. First, you need to create an AI-plugin JSON file. This file needs to be publicly accessible and hosted on the domain of your API. It also needs to be hosted inside of a folder named .well-known. So if I was building a ChatGPT plugin for my website, the AI plugin.json file will be hosted on nomadcolors.co/.wellknown/AI-plugin.json. The AI plugin.json file will have all the information of your plugin for both humans and the AI. On this file, we write the basic information about our plugin. which in this case is a plugin that gives the users a list of the winners of the Oscars awards. We write down the name and description of our plugin for both humans and the model itself. The two important things to notice are the auth and the API part. The auth part is where you can customize how the user will be authenticated. In our case, the authentication type is none, so the users will be anonymous. But if we want to, we can authenticate the user using token authentication, HTTP authentication, or OAuth authentication. As you can see, the API part has a URL key. On that URL, ChatGPT should be able to find a file called openapi.yaml. Here is where we will have to describe to the ChatGPT AI the structure and functionality of our API using the OpenAPI format. This is the file that ChatGPT will read when the user asks a question. So here is where we explain what the endpoints of our API do to ChatGPT. Here you can see how we are saying that our API has a /winners endpoint. We are also providing a description of what this endpoint does. We are telling ChatGPT that if the /winners endpoint is called, our API will return a list of the names of the Oscars winners for this year. But if the endpoint is called with a year parameter, like this, the API will return the names of the winners for that year. If we did a good job on describing the API to ChatGPT, when the user asks something like this, ChatGPT will read our openai.yaml file, it will look through our summaries, and it will decide to call the /winners endpoint. If the users ask something like this, asking for the winners of the Oscars on a specific year, ChatGPT should call the /winners endpoint, but this time with the year parameter. When replying to ChatGPT, our API should not reply as if it was a chatbot. We should not reply trying to pretend like we are ChatGPT like this. Instead, we should reply like a normal, boring API. It is ChatGPT's job to take our API response and add a conversational layer to it. As you can see, it is not that hard at all to make a ChatGPT plugin. Keep in mind that we did not write the actual code that will get the movies' names. That is something that can be written on any language, on any server. And also, this is a very simple plugin. Most plugins are going to be more complex. Usually, what you would like to build is a ChatGPT retrieval plugin. A retrieval plugin is what you will need to build if you want to use ChatGPT to synthesize data found on your company's documents, databases, emails, files, Slack messages, etc. to make ChatGPT capable of answering questions about your users and your company's data. A retrieval plugin is much more complex and has more moving parts. OpenAI released a template of a retrieval plugin where they explain how it works and all the components and what each part does. I'm studying it and working my way through it. So if you're interested on a full tutorial of retrieval plugins, let me know on the comments. Overall, I feel super hopeful about AI and what it means for developers. The fact that we now have an app store and a new platform to build on top of is super cool. I cannot imagine all the companies and careers this is going to create. We as developers shouldn't be afraid of AI and the changes it will make. Instead, we must be ready and open to ride the wave. Which brings me to my last point. If you want to be able to ride the AI wave with me, the best thing you can do is learn how to code now. And the best way of doing it is for free and learning by doing. If that sounds good, click the link below to learn things like JavaScript, Python, React, React Native, Go, Dart, Flutter, among many others for absolutely free. Click the link below to join any of our many free courses that you can take right now for free with me. Click the link below and I will see you there. 오늘도 감사하고 사랑하고 다음에 봐요. See you on the next one. Bye bye.